Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Shri Sadguru Paramatmane Namaha. Sarva Maharshibhyo Namaha. The Lord exhorts Arjuna to give up desires and think of the Supreme Reality. 45th Shloka. Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Substance. The first part of the Vedas, Karma Kanda, deal with the material things pertaining to the three gunas. One should transcend the three gunas, become free from the operation of the pairs of opposites, take refuge in the pure sattvic state, and firmly establish himself in Atma. Commentary. Deal with things pertaining to the three gunas. This should be understood from the context to refer only to the karma khanda of the Vedas. The later parts of the Upanishads deal with the supreme reality, beyond all conditions and states of mind. Though here and there reference is made to the rituals and rites of karma kanda. The material world comprehended by the senses is conditioned by the three gunas of the attributes of the mind. This world, so comprehended, is very limited, is transitory and perishable. Atma, which is the seed of all objective phenomena, is not conditioned by the gunas. It is beyond them. It is eternally perfect. The bondage of the life is only for those who are subject to the influence of the three gunas. Birth and death, sorrow and suffering, pleasures and enjoyments, all these do not affect the wise man who have rooted himself in Atma. Therefore, the Lord exhorts Arjuna to transcend them and hold to the Supreme Self. Taking refuge in the pure sattvic state means the sattva guna mentioned here is not mere sattva, which is mixed with the other two attributes, rajas and tamas. To transcend the three gunas, one should overcome sattva guna also. In the early stages of the sadhana, the sattvic state is colored by the inherent rajasic and tamasic qualities. As these latter two are slowly eliminated, pure sattva, Suddha sattva, alone remains. When the sadhaka experiences the bliss of Atma, but in the final state of realization, even this is transcended, and Atma alone, unconditioned and attributeless, remain in its own purity and perfection. The mind which has acquired the power to contemplate the infinite Atma is called Sattva. So says sage Vasishta. Since it is enjoined Nitya Sattvastaha, it is imperative that the seeker should hold on to that state always. Having nothing to gain or return in the world means yoga means the requisition of new things. Kshema means the preservation of the things required. The whole world is engaged in these two things, acquisition and preservation. Wealth, name, position, power, health, children, etc. These are the things which man is constantly trying to acquire and preserve them after they are acquired. The Lord's injunction here is to give up both these things. For the man who firmly believes that Atma alone is the reality, there is no such thing to possess or preserve, because Atma is everything and everything is Atma. He has nothing to gain or lose. Most of the worldly people desire to acquire wealth, possession, beauty, and so on. But who is there who desires to rest in Atma? To rest in Atma is the greatest achievement, and when this is achieved, supreme content descends on the man and there is no restlessness. So, the way to transcend the gunas is to hold on to the Atmic state with perseverance and determination. Question: what is the Lord's command? Answer: first, to transcend the three gunas, next, to be free from the pairs of opposites, and to give up thoughts of gain and loss. And finally, to remain in the state of sattva, to be established in the self. 46th Sloka. यावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वतः सम्प्लुतोदके तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः. Substance: to an enlightened person who has known the self, all the Vedas are of as much as use as is a reservoir of water in a place where there is a flood. Commentary: a small well is useful for purposes of drinking and washing. The same use is implicit in the all-filling flood of water. In the same way, all the rewards and enjoyments mentioned in the Karmakanda of the Vedas are comprehended in the bliss of Brahman. Therefore, the knower of Brahman does not care for the desire of fulfilling works mentioned in the Karmakanda. According to the law, 50 is implicit in 100, Shate Panchashat, and according to the truth that in the foot of the elephant, the foot of all other animals are comprehended. All the various pleasures and enjoyments are comprehended in the bliss and the blessedness of Atma. Therefore, the wise man does not hanker after rites and rituals in the hope of enjoyments here or in heaven. It is stated here Vijanataha, and so superficial knowledge is not enough, but deep experience of Atma is necessary for perfect realization. Ramanuja and others also have given a different interpretation to this verse. For the thirsty man, all the water in the well or flood is not necessary. A few glasses will do. For the sick man, all the medicines in the world are not necessary. One or two suitable medicines are enough. For the hungry man, all the food in the world is not necessary. A few handfuls are enough. In the same way, for the wise man, a few practices mentioned in the Vedas leading to self-knowledge are quite sufficient. For by following them, he attains realization of the Supreme. All the others are not needed for him. In the Vedas, innumerable mantras, modes of worship, and works are revealed. The seeker may choose what suits him best to destroy the disease of ignorance and reach the goal of liberation. Here, the Lord assures the devotee not at all to be discouraged by the thinking that he does not know all the injunctions and practices mentioned in the Vedas. The Lord propounds the doctrine of Karma Yoga. 47th Sloka. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalheturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Substance. O Arjuna, you have right to work only and not to the fruits of work. Let not the fruit of action to be your motive, nor let thy attachment be to inaction. Commentary. The doctrine of Karma Yoga is declared in this verse. Man has a right to work and not to the fruits of his work. It means that work should be done in a spirit of surrendering the fruits to the Lord. At all times, under all circumstances, man should keep the mind free from the desire for the fruits of work. Otherwise, the mind cannot be brought to a condition of peace and restfulness, and one-pointed concentration becomes impossible. As man thinks of the results of work, anxieties and fears rush into the mind. Spectres of failure haunt the mind. Difficulties and dangers born of imagination bar the way to work. The emotions are disturbed by the shame of failure and the frustration of defeat. Mental energy is thus wasted in the painful passions, and man's personality is wrecked on the rocks of anger and hatred. Life becomes miserable. This is the practical experience of every individual in the world. Thus, we see that work prompted by desire is a disturbing and not a purifying factor in spiritual sadhana. Unless the mind is purified, man cannot get a glimpse of the self. Therefore, Nishkama Karma is absolutely essential for spiritual realization. Let not thine attachment be to inaction, means this should be clearly understood. The Lord's command is that attachment to the fruits of work should be given up and not the works. To give up work is a sign of laziness and inaction. It is tamas. It is the negation of spiritual progress. In sleep, one does not do anything at all, but sleep is not self realization. The walls and poles do not work. They are not philosophers for that reason. Therefore, inaction born of tamas should be counteracted in a very possible way. The Lord's command is an axe stroke on all forms of idleness and weaknesses, which apparently looks like the peace of gnana. Some people, out of ignorance, spend their time in empty nothingness, imagining that state to be the Brahmanishta. Such people fail both in material and spiritual life. It is imperative for them to recognize tamasic inaction is the first enemy in spiritual life. They should wake up from tamas and start doing something good. No one can live without work. Man must do some kind of work or other. Let the work which you do be done without attachment is the Lord's command. That will yield the highest fruit of liberation. Nishkama karma is one of the main tenets of Gita. This is the message which roused Arjuna to the level of heroic action from his present state of despair and delusion. Question: what is the man qualified to do? Answer: man has a right to work, but not to seek the fruits of work. Question: what should he give up? Answer: the fruits of work and the negation of work both should be given up. Question: what then is the law? Answer: to work without desire for the fruits of work is the law.